In this video, I'm going to show you how to format and view your spreadsheet. The topics that we're going to cover in this one is how to use merge, vertical, and horizontal align in word wrap, how to put borders around your cells, how to freeze rows and columns so that as you scroll through a spreadsheet, you can still always see certain data, how to view your material full screen and how to escape that, and how to use compact controls and how to disable that as well. Let's get started. First thing we're going to do is how to use merge, align, and word wrap. These are commands that are going to use these particular buttons right up here. Very handy and useful to know. First thing you need to know how to do is how to use merge. Right now each cell is on its own, but what I can do is I can select a large group of cells, and I'm going to go up here where it says select merge type, and I can merge them all. I can also merge them horizontally, vertically, or unmerge. So let's take a look at merge all. It's going to convert this 3x3 block of cells into one single cell. Essentially, it's overwriting anything that's in there. These particular cells almost don't exist anymore. A couple other options we also have there is I could merge them horizontally. In this case right here, it's going to merge these three cells horizontally, these three. So these cells almost don't exist here. I'm going to try undoing that. We could also merge them vertically, so that these cells are combined, these cells are combined in these cells. The one that I find myself doing the most often though is merge all. So it's going to merge those cells into one giant cell. If you ever want to undo that, or you ever want to undo a cell that's been merged, like this one, you can go up here to select merge type and click unmerge. I'll show you why it's messed up there in just a second, but that's one of your options there. So now I've got my cells combined into one. So let's put some sample text in here. Now, I've put my text in here, but what you've probably noticed is that all the text that I've input up here doesn't actually view right here. What I'm going to have to do for that is I'm going to have to play around with an option called word wrap. Word wrap is a set of rules that governs what are you going to do when the amount of text you have in a cell goes past the edge. What are you going to do with that extra text? Well, right now it has overflow. That's not really going to work when I've merged cells. Watch what happens when I do wrap. This means that it's essentially going to make that cell a little bit taller and put the extra stuff underneath it. Fortunately, I've merged these cells, so I have plenty more room. The other option I also have is clip. That's what typically you're going to see when I've merged cells. It's going to get to the end there and it's going to stop it. Watch what happens when I unmerge that. I've clipped it. So literally right now it's going to stop it right at the edge. If I change from clip to overflow, now it's an overflow. That's maybe what you've seen before. When you merge cells, it's going to change it to clipping. So let's go back to where I have all these merged. And I'm going to change that to wrap. This is really handy when you want to make sure that none of your data is invisible. Now, what you may have noticed is that this is fundamentally very different than that. Obviously, I have a background color, but you'll notice that this one looks a little bit nicer. It's a little bit cleaner. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to change my options for vertical align. Right now, it's putting all the text at the bottom of the cell. I can change that to the top of the cell. What I'm going to do, though, and what looks cleanest, is you want to put it in the middle of the cell. So now I've wrapped all my text, put it aligned vertically, and the other thing I can do is I can align it center. So this is the horizontal line. Right now the default is left aligned. I could change that to right align, but I'm going to do center align now. If I want to undo all that, again, I can just use the control backspace and it's going to undo all the stuff that I did. But I have merged cells, center aligned them, vertically aligned them, and wrapped the text. Now, of course, you could do lots of other little flair things. But you get the basic idea there. Let's take a look at an example that I've already done for this. So I'm going to go to my temperature conversions tab, and you can see right here across the top, I have a nice little heading saying, hey, here's what you need to do on this spreadsheet. I'm going to undo all of that and show you how I build that again. So I'm hitting the control backspace to clear it all out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first merge those cells. One thing to be aware of, if you're merging cells, it's going to overwrite any data. Let me show you an example. So obviously it clipped it right at the edge. Let's say I want to merge those just like the way they were before. So I would go up here to merge all, and you'll notice that it's popping up a menu that you didn't see before. Merging cells will only preserve the top leftmost value. Merge anyways. So it's only going to preserve what I have in cell A1. B1 is going to get deleted. Watch what happens. Anything that's in there is now gone. The data is essentially obliterated. You can't access it anymore. If you're going to merge, it's going to overwrite anything in those cells, assuming they're not empty. But anyways, I merged my data, and I'm just going to kind of go across these 4 buttons here. I'm going to center it. I'm going to align it center and vertically right there. And I'm going to change it to word wrap. That way, if I do accidentally go a little bit larger, I have more room. I'm going to make that a little bit larger. I'm going to add bold, and bam. Now I have a really nice, clean heading up there. The other option we have right here is borders. Lots of different options here, and you can kind of follow through them. I'm going to make this one particularly simple. I'm just going to put an outside border right there. You can see that I've done an outside border here as well. I took the 7x2 box and I put a border around that. I could also remove that with both the clearing formatting option, or I could go up to borders and right here clear all the borders that I happen to have there. I have a lot of other options that I could do here, and you can kind of play around with those on your own. I could do all borders, where it's essentially going to take what I see from my grid lines and convert those into a much darker border. I could do just inner borders. I could do just horizontal borders. I could do vertical borders. I could do just the outside. I could do just the top, and so on and so forth. Lots of options there. If you ever want to play around with that, if I want to change my border style, I could make them dashed. So now it looks like the marching ants. I could change that to just simple dots. Alternatively, when I'm playing around with my border options, I could play with the border color. I could make it a red border, like that. So all your options right there are up in the border. Again, if you don't like anything you did, just select it, and you can clear all formatting, though that will clear everything, or I could just go clear borders. As it is, I want to put the borders back to the way they were when I started. If you're looking to do thicker borders the way you can in Microsoft Excel, that is not an option here yet on Google Sheets. As is, you are only confined to the single thickness, though you can change it to be dashed or dotted, and of course you can change the colors. I'm going to go back to my list of Star Wars Legos here, and I want to show you another really nice function. That's the ability to freeze rows and columns. Now, what you'll notice here is I have all my data, and I have my headings across the top. The name, the Lego part number, any minifigures, the year it was released, and the number of pieces. But this is a really long spreadsheet. And if I scroll down, all of a sudden, I might get a little bit confused. What were those headings again? Have I lost them? No, they're just at the top. But as you scroll down, it's hard to see. What you want to do there is you want to go to View, and you want to freeze. And what I want to do is I want to freeze one row. And you can see right here, I have this little gray bar that's jumped down from up there to right here. Why this is really handy is that when I scroll down, those don't disappear. One other nice little feature of this, I'll get into sorting later on, but let's say you want to sort the sheet. So let's say I want to sort the sheet A to Z. I need to get rid of this merge here. It doesn't like it when I have that, so I'm going to clear all that out. Let's say I want to sort the sheet A to Z. So I want to sort by the number of pieces. So I'm sorting it by increasing. You'll notice that it didn't actually mess with that top header row. Let me show you what happens if you try to do that without that row being frozen. So I'm going to unfreeze, no rows. Now when I try to sort, it's gone. It's not actually gone. What you'll find is that it's at the very bottom there. You don't want to sort that stuff. You want that to remain headers. So I'm going to undo, freeze one row, and then now if I ever sort it, maybe by year released, it doesn't affect that. It's not only there when I scroll, it's something that is exempt from the sorting function. Now, I could actually freeze more than one row if I wanted. In this case, I could maybe freeze these top 3 rows. So I'm going to go to View, Freeze. I am going to do 2 rows first, and you can see same idea there. Of course, if I want to do a little bit longer, rather than trying to find that particular function, let's say I want to freeze those first 20 rows, I'm going to select the 20th row, and I'm going to go to View, Freeze, up to current row 20. Now, all of this data is exempt from sorting and will always remain there no matter what I do. If I want to undo that, View, Freeze, no rows. I could also freeze columns. Like let's say before, like I messed with my minifigure column there. So now I kind of have a pretty unwieldy column there. I could keep that as is, but let's say I still want to keep this particular column frozen. I go to View, Freeze, and I want to freeze one column. Again, this exempts it from sorting, but that's not really a big issue here. What's nice about that is no matter how far I scroll horizontally, it's going to keep that there. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can do both of them at the same time. I could have both this first column frozen and that first row. So no matter what I do, that's always going to remain the top row and that first column. Last thing I'm going to show you is how to maximize the space that you actually have in front of you. Now, we have all these different controls up here, but there's a lot of times when you don't necessarily need to see those controls, you know what you need to do, or you just want to be able to view the screen a little bit larger. Well, in that case, we got two different options for you. The first one is called compact controls. So watch the screen, and you'll notice how I have a little bit more room for data up there because it made a couple of the things disappear up top. I can still, of course, use everything that I need. So it says I'm using compact controls. Everything still works functionally the same. I've just freed up a little bit of room, though it's squished stuff together a little bit. If you want to undo that, you go to View, Compact Controls, or the keyboard shortcut is Control-Shift-F. So that will toggle it back and forth. Sometimes though, you don't even want to see any controls. Sometimes you just want to see your data, in which case you go to View and Full Screen. Full Screen essentially gets rid of all the different controls and allows you to just view your data. If you're looking at this, you got a lot more room to view the data. If you want to go back to see your controls, you hit the Escape button and it's going to pop it right back up there. Just another way that you can view more of your data, but of course still have access to all those controls when you need them.